Good evening. It's going to be a great evening followed by such a great day, and we are just continuing the love of slope. So, you have this worksheet, and you're going to think of slope as rise over run. Rise is the change in y, how far up or down. And run is the change in x, how far side to side. We also do have the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we will be applying this on the back of this page when we get to that section. So, we're so lucky that 2 points are given. If you didn't have 2 points given, you would want to find 2 places where the line crosses the axis perfectly, or the grid perfectly. And then you are going to find your run, and that's 3, and your rise. So this is down 1 over 3. So your slope is negative 1/3. And that is it. When they're going down, it is negative. When the lines are going up, it's positive. So this is going down because it's continuing in the downward direction. All right, lucky number 2. There's your dots. You have your rise and your run. So over 1, up 3. Rise over run. 3 over 1. And 3 over 1 is the same thing as just 3. That's your slope. Isn't this easy and fun? All right, your 2 dots again are given. So your rise is up 3, and your run is back 2. So rise over run, 3 over negative 2. So your slope is negative 2/3. 1 negative makes the whole, did I just say 2/3? Okay. So your slope is negative 3/2. 1 negative makes the whole thing negative. You could also write negative 1/2. I prefer this just because you have your rise and your run. Number 4. Rise of 3, run of 2, over 2, up 3. So 3 over 2. That's the same thing as 1/2. In number 5, over 3, up 5. Rise over run, 5/3. You could also write 1 2/5. But again, this is better for the rise over the run. Number 6. 3. 7. 7/3. You could write 2 1/3, or keep it. Back 2. This is going to be negative because it's going down. 6. 6 divided by negative 2. Rise over 1. Run. That is reducible. 6 over negative 2 is negative 3. So you should do that. What's kind of cool about that is if you go over 1, up 3, it does cross at a perfect point right there. So this is just over 1, up 3 twice. Over 3. up 7. Slope, 7 over 3, same as 2 1/3. I would leave it just like that. So that is the rise over run method. Now we're going to do the method of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is the first point given. So this is like your x1, y1. This is the second point given. This is like your x2, y2. So I'm just going to write the points like this. -7, 14. And then 8, 10. And then I'm just going to sort of draw a line like this. This is your rise. 14 minus 10. This is your change in height. This is your run. -7 minus 8. So your answer here is 4 over -15. That's -4/15. That's your slope. You slash and dash if you are confused about the -15. Nothing reduces, so you're done. So we're going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to write the second point first. It doesn't really matter which point you write first. You just need to be consistent in your subtraction. So this point is just right there. You're going to subtract the y's on top. 2 minus 1, I literally just put this right there. On the bottom, -17 minus -3. 2 minus 1 is 1. 17 minus -3 is -14. And that's your answer, -1/14. In 11, -12, -10 is your second point. -24, -4 is your first point. Subtract the y's, -10 minus -4. Whenever you have a minus negative, you slash and dash. Subtract the x's on the bottom, -12 minus -20. Whenever you have a negative, you slash and dash. So your result is -6 over 8. This is reducible, and that is -3/4. All right, if you feel like you have the hang of this, you can go ahead and hit pause. I'm going to just keep on cruising and put all the answers up. You can just fast forward and check to make sure your answers are right. dividing by 0. That's actually an error in the calculator. If you were to graph this, negative 18, negative 20 is right here, negative 18, negative 15 is right here. You have a vertical line going up and down. Every single vertical line, if ever x is always the same, it is always no slope. It does not exist. That's very different than if the y is the same. If the y is the same, you would get 0 over a number, and 0 over a number is equal to 0. So if your line is horizontal, that is a 0 slope. So that's just a little side note of love. All right, last one in this section. And then the very last section is super duper smooth as long as the equation is in y equals mx plus b. If it is not in y equals mx plus b, you need to get it to y equals mx plus b. I think that's for the last couple. So the m is your slope, the multiplier of the x, the number in front of the x, and if you were to make a table, this number is what your table would go up by. So this is your slope. These are your answers. Ooh, x equals 1. So what that means is that x is always 1. So x is always 1. Y can be anything. 0, 1, 2, doesn't matter. If you look at a graph of that, over 1 up 0, over 1 up 1, over 1 up 2, it's another vertical line. So this is a no slope. Slope does not exist. Slope of 1/4, slope of negative 2/3. This is a slope of negative 1. If there's no number, there is assumed to be a 1. This is a slope of negative 1. There's a negative in front of that x. All right, then these are the fun ones, the last two. So, as you can see in 25, this is not in y equals mx plus b, so we need to get it there. We need to get the y completely alone. So the first thing to move, to get rid of, is the 2x. So we're just going to move that to this side. X's don't go with numbers. They are not like terms. So the 2x stays alone, and then the 9 stays alone. I'm going to write the x first because in mx, x comes first. Then divide by 3. Divide everything by 3. Every single thing. So your solution is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3, because 9 over 3 is 3. That's your y equals mx plus b. This equation right here is the same exact equation as this. Same table, same graph, same everything. This is what you know and hold dear to your heart and you can work with because you know that is your slope and you know this is your y-intercept. And then the grand finale. You want to go ahead and try to do this one alone? Try to get y alone? Pause me. First step, subtract 5x. So you now have 2y equals negative 5x plus 6. Don't forget about that. And then to get the y alone, you're undoing the multiplication of 2, and you are dividing by 2 to undo it. So y is equal to negative 5/2 x plus 3. I'm going to leave it at 5/2. I'm not going to change that because for slope, this is rise over a run. So what that means is over 2, down 5. Slope is much easier to work with in fraction form than mixed number. So continue your beautiful day. I'm sure this made it even more beautiful, and I will see you very soon.